Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. It is officially Friday, August 2nd, and I couldn't be more than happy to spend this fine Friday morning with fellow patriots. I see y'all in the live chat, folks. Let me tell you, the media, the Democrat Party, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to contain J.D. Vance. They don't know how to contain Donald Trump. They keep throwing out the racism card. They keep throwing out the weird idea about J.D. Vance, which nothing is weird. If anything, the Democrat Party is the ones that are weirdos. They don't know what to do. They're throwing everything they can at the Trump-Vance ticket, and it's not really working. Right now, yeah, Kamala Harris is climbing in the polls, but everybody expected that. I mean, again, she was the worst polling individual in the Democrat side of the party, and they chauffeured her out. And because Democrats have nobody else to vote for, they have to vote for Kamala. There's nobody else to vote for. And I use that word loosely because we all know they didn't vote for Kamala. Not a single vote. I was on TikTok yesterday, and I was kind of rating a bunch of these libtards, and they were all sitting there just shilling over Kamala Harris and would not engage a single question about, hey, when did you vote for Kamala? They wouldn't answer that. Hey, how many votes did Kamala Harris get? Hey, why did Kamala Harris say that she was Indian American and then switch to being a Black American? It's just a really weird thing. They don't want to address any of it, folks. In the same way, Kamala Harris doesn't want to sit there and address any of it by taking anybody's questions. We got a jam-packed Friday episode for y'all today. I want to make sure I get right into it. But before we jump into the news, it's always important as a community to shout out those that are here. We got Patrick, we got Jennifer, we got Karen Catmom, we got Jason, we got Miriam, we got Kreger in here. Jeremy, good to see you, brother. Who else do we got? We got a lot of people. I'm scrolling. We got Dizzy. Good to see Dizzy. We got Secret Agent, always in there doing the Lord's work. His servant, Stacy's here. Brian, Mike, the architect, Danielle. I mean, the list is going on and on. If I missed you, I apologize. Karen Catmom, Mr. YouTube 5000. It just keeps going. Lulu, Jackie. It's good to see all you patriots. If I missed you, I apologize. But let's jump right into the news of the day. With the brutal ordeal is over. Biden addresses Russian prisoner swap of journalists. Now, a lot of us were asking yesterday, where's Joe Biden? When's he going to address this whole shindig that went down? Mind you, as of 24 hours later, since all this news broke yesterday, we heard it in the White House press briefing, we don't know anything. And I don't mean like we literally don't know anything, right? I mean, we don't know anything in terms of the details. We were told that no money and sanctions was given up. But when you have a multi-country deal taking place, mind you, it wasn't just Russia and the United States here. Remember, Germany was involved. We don't know exactly if there was a transfer of money to Germany or if there was a handling of some German sanctions upon Russia. And who knows? Again, it's all speculation. You would think if this was such a great deal. And don't get me wrong, I'm glad these guys are back with their families. That's not what's being said here. Okay, both can be true at the same time. We can be happy that they're back, but we can also be curious of, well, if it was a good deal, why are you not giving us the details of the deal? If it was a bad deal, it kind of makes sense why you wouldn't want everybody to know what took place here, because you got massive backlash for the Brittany Griner deal, where you gave up like a massively evil dude for somebody that wants to shit on the American flag. So President Joe Biden said their brutal ordeal is over for 3 American citizens, 2 journalists, and a former Marine who were arrested and held in Russia accused of spying. Now, we kind of know that, but at least I wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that Joe Biden did, in fact, actually fumble through his words and get out there and into a drip tray. The more important part that I want to show you is Kamala Harris was chauffeured out, and here's Joe Biden on the tarmac, okay, with Kamala. The message in yesterday's White House press briefing was, well, Kamala was a big part of this deal. She was in Germany at some point in time, and she was a partner in this, and probably really couldn't have been done without her. They're trying to sit there and make this woman all of a sudden look good, which has to be so cringe and hard for Joe Biden, as well as maybe even Karine Jean-Pierre, because she had no involvement. She hasn't done jack bleep in the last 3.5 years. All she's done, and this is why we've only had videos of her doing these word salads, is these small speaking engagements, just kind of going in a circle with her words and not really saying anything. So here she is with the president for some reason. Now she all of a sudden shows up with Joe Biden. Before, she could be nowhere to be found. But all of a sudden, now they're going to start, chauffeuring her out. This clip here, and then we'll get to some other ones, is Joe Biden going like this again. You don't know where to go. Oh, where's the plane at? Sir, the plane is to your right, that massive object that everybody can see. Yeah, that's where the plane is, Joe. So here he is just wandering around. Look at, he don't know what to do. Jesus. So he goes inside, but watch when he comes out. Like a weird, awkward thing between him and Kamala right here. Watch this. Look, he's like, you could tell just, his eyes are like this, right? He's like this. And Kamala kind of grabs him, holds him up. Here we go. Oh. He doesn't even look at her. He doesn't even acknowledge her. Thanks for being here. By the way, normally for PR, I wonder if this is strategic. And I might be looking too far into this, but normally this doesn't happen. You, as a leader of the free world, you walk in front of your vice president. The vice president doesn't walk in front of you. It's a power move by Kamala. A lot of people aren't talking about that. They're skipping past that. So it's a power move to make it seem like she's in control. She knows what's going on. She's leading the way for the American people. It's very subtle, folks, but it's all subliminal. Now, Donald Trump reacted to this historic prisoner deal. If you recall, Donald Trump said, hey, you know what? I don't think Joe Biden's going to be able to get it done. Quite frankly, Joe Biden didn't really get it done. I think there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't know about between Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Germany now all of a sudden. Very weird things happening. And look, I'm not the only one that thinks it's weird that we're right before an election and all of a sudden you got this deal done when it hasn't been able to be done in like 2,000 days. It's very odd to me that Kamala Harris is all of a sudden the new nominee of the Democrat Party and you just so happen to get this deal done, but don't give us any details. Yeah, my BS meter's going through the roof. So here's Donald Trump, what he had to say about it.
Well, as usual, it was a win for Putin or any other country that deals with us, but we got somebody back, so I'm never going to be challenging that. It wouldn't have happened with us. We would have gotten it back. We wouldn't have had to pay anything. We wouldn't have had to let some of the great killers of the world go, because that's what's happened, as you know. And the deal's very complex because it just came out, so nobody understands the deal yet. And they make it complex, so you can't understand how bad the deal is for us. But we got him back.
Exactly.
And we could have had him back. We should have had him back a long time ago. It should have never happened. It would have never happened. He shouldn't have been taken in the first place, and it would have never happened with us.
A lot of things wouldn't have happened if we didn't have Joe Biden and Kamala Harris in office. It's just a bleep storm. And so yesterday during the White House press briefing, which we all went live with, so if you weren't there, we'll cover a few clips, not a ton here, but a reporter wanted to know what's your message to the families of 9/11 victims who were upset the Biden-Harris administration spared the mastermind of 9/11 from a trial and the death penalty. And Jean-Pierre's response was basically sorry. There is speculation, and some of us wrote in the live chat yesterday, especially I think it was Ziggy Girl, was the idea of whether these 9/11 people, these terrorists, a part of the deal here? It's just weird how the timing works out remarkably, right? The fact that this information comes out about these 9/11 masterminds that took part in one of the worst, if not the worst, atrocities on domestic soil here. And you also have these journalists and Russia deal. It's very odd to me. Is there a coincidence? Maybe, but coincidences, I don't know. So here's Jean-Pierre.
To some of the 9/11 families who wanted to see a full trial, who wanted to see this kind of come to a fuller process.
So look, this is basically what Jake said. This is something that we had no involvement in. He didn't have any involvement in. And so the White House played no role in this process. And the president directed his team to consult as appropriate with officials and lawyers and Department of Defense, obviously. We have said this before. We are, our hearts go out to the families who lost the loved ones on that day. And the president on 9/11 has honored them every year, and the families
Do you notice that she never, hardly ever looks into the camera? Why are you looking down at the ground? Can you imagine, you guys, if I did a show like this? Yeah, Joe Biden really sucks. He's easily the worst president in American history. And, man, he's just awful. And so is Kamala Harris. And they don't know what they're doing. You're not really giving, there's no pizzazz behind it, right? There's no energy. There's no strength. There's no message. There's no answers to the questions that are being proposed. $180,000. Can you imagine if somebody just did that? I shouldn't even have to imagine. It is happening. I don't even know why I said that. It's happening right in front of our eyes. So she goes on and she says, quote, real leaders do not tear down people. They don't question somebody's identity. And obviously, if I'm showing this, I got something queued up for you folks. If I'm showing this, here we go.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Okay. Can we, hold on, it's 6 seconds. Can we just play that again? Just so we have the full context before what I'm about to play next.
Real leaders do not tear people down. They don't question someone's identity.
Gotcha. Okay, so they don't tear people down. They don't question somebody's identity. Really weird. This is just one of many clips, but here's Joe Biden.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
It don't have nothing to do with Trump.
So there's that one. Mind you, we have another clip later with Sonny Houston of The View. We got a few clips of The View that took place yesterday. Well, lo and behold, these journalists somehow are reporting about October 7th Israel attack. And, well, they're also aiding and abetting terrorism, basically. So Al Jazeera journalist killed in airstrike was a terrorist who participated in October 7th massacre. Oh, my God. A lot of these journalists, I mean, this is obviously a terrorist, right? But a lot of the journalists here in America that are being shown on the news, like we saw with the ABC reporter with that NABJ interview with Donald Trump, these are not reporters, you guys. These are activist reporters. Are there real reporters out there? Yeah. You want to know a real reporter? Philip Wegman of Real Clear Politics. That's a real reporter. That's not an activist. That's a reporter. These people are activist reporters in the same way there's real teachers out there that don't try to indoctrinate your kids, that don't try to throw biases in there, even though sometimes they do seep in through just casual conversation or they have questions about something. But there's people that are activist teachers, where activist comes first, teaching comes second. So they're still doing their job, but the implementation of that activist agenda's at the forefront. In the same way, they are reporters, but these activists have an agenda out there in the forefront. The reporting comes, secondary. So an Al Jazeera reporter who was killed in an airstrike this week was allegedly a terrorist who participated in Hamas's October 7th massacre last year. This is how insane journalism he's gotten just across the globe. The IDF and the ISA said in a statement that a joint operation, the IAF, eliminated Ismail Gul, a Hamas military wing operative and terrorist who participated in the October 7th massacre. Is that just wild? I'm not laughing at the massacre. I'm just laughing because this is not the only time I've heard of an Al Jazeera journalist doing something. There was hostages that I believe from October 7th that were freed from Israeli forces. And when they went in, it was an Al Jazeera journalist, I believe, or some sort of reporter that was keeping them hostage in the home. So it's not the only time we've seen a journalist do some sort of activity that was basically aiding some sort of terrorist organization. Thought I'd bring that to you a little bit wild. Now, I want to give you an update here on something we covered, I think it was a couple weeks ago. There's a House committee that's expanding the probe into anti-conservative advertising collusion. So we did a video with Ben Shapiro and others talking to the committee from the House about how it seems that these advertising companies are dodging conservative and Republican outlets, say like the Daily Wire and others. And the idea behind it is basically you're trying to stranglehold these companies and not allowing them to create revenue and build their business because they can't get advertisers in, because basically you're acting as that mediary that's blocking them. And so it's nice to see some movement here where they're ramping up their investigation into GARM, which allegedly colluded with advertisers to keep businesses from conservative news outlets. Now, we are not surprised by this. As we mentioned, we see what they're doing to conservative Republican YouTubers, but also on Facebook with Meta, Instagram. You're seeing it now with Google. I mean, as we've mentioned in the past, if we didn't have Twitter, we would be screwed right now. There, other than Rumble, there actually would not be a free speech platform that we can go on to communicate freely and call out the hypocrisy of the woke media, the Democrat Party, as well as these big tech companies. So Elon has done a great service to free speech for allowing free speech to thrive. That doesn't mean he's done everything perfectly. That's not what I'm saying. But for the most part, Twitter is a place, or now also known as X, to allow free speech to be there, which has allowed us to ultimately stay steady in terms of getting new information out there. X has beaten Instagram and TikTok, I think, and others as one of the most popular apps in terms of getting news. That's global, by the way. So the committee has uncovered evidence of coordinated action by GARM and its member companies, including boycotts and disfavored social media platforms, podcasts, and news outlets. Jordan's letter is the latest step in the committee's probe on GARM. Last month, Daily Wire co-founder Ben Shapiro testified, which we saw. So it's nice to see there's going to be a little bit more movement here. And I think a little bit of help that's not listed in the article is Elon Musk's, I guess, contribution in the sense of spotlighting this information a little bit more. And mind you, he had advertisers not willing to advertise on his platform because of what he's done to sit there and promulgate free speech. So he has a little bit of stake in this as well. And quite frankly, so does everybody else. We'll see what comes of it. I'll make sure I keep you guys updated as always. Now, you saw the title of today's show, right? Democrats and media don't know how to contain J.D. Vance. Going into the RNC, I didn't know who Donald Trump was going to choose. My number one pick was Vivek Ramaswamy, but he ended up going with J.D. Vance. And obviously, I was a little bit bitter, and because I wanted my guy, I wanted Vivek Ramaswamy. But seeing probably in the last week, J.D. go out and speak on behalf of the Republican Party's agenda, Donald Trump's agenda, Make America Great Again agenda. My tune is changing with J.D. Vance. Now, that doesn't mean much because I didn't really have much to go on with J.D. Vance in the first place. The reason why I'm prefacing it this way is I made a mistake in 2016 with Ted Cruz, and I've been vocal about it. I didn't do my research. I kind of just listened to his speeches, and I didn't really delve in of who Ted Cruz really was. And so I was like, I wrote him off like, screw you, like lying Ted, whatever. You know, you come across as fake on camera, too political for me, too doing this type of stuff. But after reading all Ted Cruz's books, doing research, listening to a lot of the stuff he had to say, my mind was completely changed. That dude's one of the smartest guys in politics. And the things he's done for this country in terms of advocating for our rights, he wrote a book called One Vote Away. This guy was responsible, bigly, for keeping a lot of our rights in place, or at least not having our rights chiseled away. So when I was going in with J.D. Vance, I wanted to make sure I didn't have that same mindset that I did with Ted Cruz with J.D. Vance here. And so I'm having an open mind. And let me tell you, this is exactly what I wanted to see from Vivek, but J.D. Vance is doing it. So that's a good thing. That's a positive in my mind, that he's going out and he's sitting there defending Trump. He's defending the MAGA movement, and he's defending the principles that we need in this country. And he's doing a phenomenal job at doing it. We're going to play some clips here in just one moment. So Vance blasts Harris during border visit. Terrible and idiotic policies caused real human beings to suffer. Correct. The media just want to sit there. I mean, this is how disgusting the media is, really. 85,000 children missing. We don't know where they are. Harris, Biden allowed these children to come across the border, sometimes by themselves. When they were supposed to go to relatives, they never did. They just sent them to people that weren't relatives. They don't know who the hell they went to. A whistleblower, I think multiple, came out and said, yeah, we know for sure pretty much guaranteed that some of these children that are missing were sold off into slavery and sex trafficking. Media don't want to talk about that. I would say that's suffering, right? I would say it's a little bit of suffering, not to mention that you had your kid walk across a desert with some sort of coyote or drug lord or whoever the hell, smuggler, to come into this country in the first place. Not to mention that fentanyl's pouring across the border. Over 250,000 Americans have died under Biden-Harris. Media don't want to talk about this. They don't even want to raise the question. They don't want to treat Harris and Biden the same way they treated with Donald Trump during that interview the other day. They don't want to do that. Of course not. So JD calls her out here, and he does a phenomenal job in doing so. So we got the clip queued up as always. Here we go.
Started their administration. Kamala Harris came into office making promises, and she kept those promises to open the American southern border. They stopped deportations on day one. They stopped construction of the border wall on day one. We see the border wall sitting here, ready to be completed behind us, and that can't happen because of Kamala Harris's administration. They reinstated catch and release, and they stopped remain in Mexico. So all of these asylum claimants who come to our border, they can now get released into our country because they're not forced to stay in Mexico while we adjudicate their asylum claims. And we have to remember that as terrible and idiotic as these policies were, they cause real human beings to suffer. A lot of you know my story, and I have been a little kid waiting at the bedside of his mother, angry that his mom took something that she shouldn't have taken, but praying to God, please, Jesus, let her wake up. And the unfortunate truth is because of the poison that Kamala Harris has let come into this country, there are a lot of those prayers that won't be answered. There are a lot of parents that won't wake up because when you take fentanyl, you don't wake up. It takes your life. So there are a lot of kids out there who have been deprived of second chances with their moms and dads. There are a lot of moms and dads out there who will never see their kids walk down the aisle because of what Kamala Harris has unleashed at this border.
Folks, there's no teleprompter. That dude sat there as clear as you can be and gave a message. I'll say I'm impressed. I've been watching a lot of JD Vance behind the scenes, guys, before I wanted to come out and do a show like this where it's like, hey, they can't contain him, but it's also a way of me saying a little bit of a dream team here between Donald Trump and JD Vance. I'm seeing slowly why Donald Trump picked this guy. He represents the average American. There's a reason that this guy can go out. Let me show. It's going to sound stupid. He can go out in flannel like that and pull it off. Whereas when I see like a Kamala Harris or Joe Biden go out there and wear flannel or try to look like an average American and try to be one of us. Even Donald Trump, I love that Donald Trump goes out in a suit because he's a businessman. That's what we know him as a businessman, a mogul, a billionaire. So when he goes out in like jeans or a flannel, meaning Donald Trump, I don't like that. I feel like it's a little bit of manipulation. I hate to say it. Donald Trump's not one of us like an average American. The dude's a billionaire. Now, it's not taking anything away from him. I just don't like when we're being manipulated. This guy could pull it off because the dude is an average American. The dude is one of us. The guy is a Marine. He's a military vet. Like, this dude probably wears this on an average Sunday. So it makes sense that he's going down there looking like an average Joe, which I love a lot. I don't feel manipulated. And he was clear as day. He didn't throw these eloquent words at all of us. He spoke in a way that I love. He spoke in a way that can reach people by utilizing Donald Trump's message in conjunction with the fact of calling out the BS and the terrible and the idiotic crap that's come from the Biden-Harris administration. This guy right here in this 127 captured a lot of people's votes. I'll tell you that much, you guys. This is a good guy. I'm liking this guy a lot. I still have not seen his story or heard his story yet. I'm still kind of holding off. I got to get that done. But look, if I'm somebody that does this all the time and I haven't got a story, that means his story's not getting out to other people, quite frankly. So here he is again, doing a Newsmax interview and talking about the border czar Kamala Harris, as well as just how terrible things are with this whole thing that's taking place.
The why, you don't have to guess at it because they say it. Now, of course, they accuse Republicans of racism for saying this, but you just take the Democrats' own words. They say that they want to import millions of illegal aliens, give them the right to vote, give them amnesty, and then they don't have to worry about persuading their own citizens anymore because they then have imported a new group of voters. And it's really scandalous if you think about why wouldn't you want to persuade persuade your own people that you have the best policies to improve their lives, it shows how they completely disrespect their own countrymen. The why, yeah. You don't have to guess at it because they say it. Now, of course...
Now, the problem is the Democrats don't feel disrespected, you guys. The fact that you went out and voted for Joe Biden and that they just dropped the guy off at the bus station and just let him wander off with his dementia, and then they chauffeured out somebody that all of you didn't like in the first place in the Democrat Party. Her poll numbers were terrible. Everybody hated this chick, including the media, and they chauffeured her out. They don't care about their own party. They don't care about their base. And what's remarkable, we say this all the time, Democrats don't see it. They're getting behind it. They don't give two bleeps. I just, dude, it would be like your own family member walking up to you and just slapping you right upside your face, and you're saying, yes, sir, may I have another, and hugging them, giving them money, and just treating them with the utmost respect after they're just whipping your ass left and right. So that's them. But JD Vance said it perfectly. They're importing millions of illegal aliens, and they want to give them the right to vote. By the way, that's not even his words. That's coming from Elizabeth Warren. That's come from Joe Biden. That's come from Kamala Harris. I mean, their agenda is out there in the open. Before, they wouldn't put it out there, right? It was kind of like, oh, we got to speculate, which we did here on the show 3.5 years ago, that this was their agenda, and we turned out to be right. So if you watch the show, sometimes you're 3 years ahead of the news cycle. You're looking into the future. It's like I'm a what's it called? A prophetic person. I'm not, by the way, but you know what I mean. I kind of dropped the ball on that because I couldn't think of the word prophetic. I'm not, but you understand what I mean, right? So a lot of people are saying F YouTube. Absolutely right. Head over to Rumble. We got a lot of you over at Rumble now. Rumble is, we have more people watching over at Rumble than we do YouTube. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's what we want to see. So JD Vance is doing work at the border, and he completely, dude, destroys CNN here. Dude, I'm really starting to love this guy, man. Just look at no effort, just sitting there, not even sweating, and is going to destroy this guy. Here we go.
Former president's comments yesterday to the National Association of Black Journalists, where he said that Vice President Harris is, quote, all of a sudden black. As a father of 3 biracial children, did those comments give you pause at all?
They don't give me pause at all. Look, all he said is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. She goes to Georgia 2 days ago. She was raised in Canada. She puts on a fake Southern accent. She is everything to everybody, and she pretends to be somebody different depending on which audience she's in front of. I think it's totally reasonable for the president to call that out, and that's all he did. I mean, look, she's running as a tough-on-crime prosecutor, even though she implemented open border policies. She's saying that she wants to support the police, yet she wanted to defund the police just 3 years ago. It's totally reasonable to call out the fact that she pretends to be somebody different depending on the audience she's talking to.
This, I love. This is what I wanted to see. This is why I loved Vivek so much. It's because Vivek could do this as well. So can JD Vance. And JD Vance has a story. JD Vance has a story of coming up. Not that Vivek doesn't, but this is a guy that has an interracial marriage, okay? His family isn't exactly all white and doesn't need to be. That's not the point here. The point is that this guy can go out. He has a story behind him. He has a multiracial family. He's come up from a tough living situation into clearly making a man of himself and being a man of his household and, you know, a man of this country. And he's going out and come up with the ass of CNN on the spot without even breaking a damn sweat at the border. You know that shit's hot out there too. This guy, he's growing on me big time. I'm starting to like him a little bit here. I'm starting to like you, JD. You need to do more of this. This guy needs to be out there every day. And it's remarkable that this guy's down at the border. And our own president isn't down there. This guy's down. This guy went to the border quicker than Kamala Harris and Biden did. And Biden only went down there to get some snacks and a nap. Now, can we get some positive news here about the border? Just a little bit, like a win. Can we get a victory here? This story that I'm presenting you, I don't know how long we've been talking about it here on the show, but it's been years. Maybe a year and a half. I don't know. Time flies. It's been a long time. It's about the buoys. We've been talking about the buoys and razor wire for quite some time, as well as shipping containers here. If you're new to the Bald Brad Show, let me give you a little bit of a recap here. The Biden administration allowed millions of people pour across the border. We're doing a quick synopsis here. So Governor Greg Abbott, Doug Ducey of Arizona, and Ron DeSantis kind of get together and they start busting people around the country, right? Going, hey, you know what? You want to be a sanctuary city? Have them. but also they need to sit there and stop this influx of happening at their border. So first, Governor Greg Abbott, what he tried to do here was he tried to put in shipping containers in the desert to act as a makeshift border wall. Seems okay with all of us. It's in the middle of the desert, not a big deal. You're trying to build your own border wall. It's a cheap way of doing it. Don't blame them. Well, the Biden-Harris administration come out and file a lawsuit saying you can't do that. And by the way, we're going to bring in the EPA to say that you're putting these shipping containers on federal land, and that's hazardous to the environment. And so they had to take down these shipping containers while they were pushing this whole idea that, we want to stop this border problem, but we're just going to make the border problem worse by removing these shipping containers. So Governor Greg Abbott had to abide by it, and he goes, well, shit, what are we going to do next? So they put up razor wire. Everybody has razor wire. Military installations have razor wire. Private businesses have razor wire. It's one of the most security efficient things that everybody can use. That's cost friendly. It's cost effective. So he puts up razor wire. Kamala Harris comes out and goes, well, you can't do that. They're going to hurt themselves in it trying to come here illegally. I hand to God that's real. I am not making that up in the slightest. She went as far to say that it's putting the lives of Border Patrol agents in danger. I'm not making that up as well. So Peter Ducey's jaw dropped. He was like, what the fuck did you... I mean, our jaws dropped when we saw it during the White House press briefing. Like, it's just, I don't understand it. So the razor wire was an issue. So folks, it blew my mind that they're going after and they're saying, well, they're going to hurt themselves on razor wire. No shit. It's razor wire. Why would you try to walk through that? So they had to take it down. Okay. They didn't like it. It was hurting people. So he tries to put in buoys here. You can't cut yourself on buoys. You can't hurt yourself, right? Why would you try to go through that? Oh, well, they can't do it. They're going to drown. They're going to hurt themselves. So they had to take down the buoys. Well, here we go. Here's the update. So that's a synopsis. That's a multi-year synopsis right there. A federal appeals court sided with Texas on Tuesday, saying the state does not have to remove a buoy barrier placed in the Rio Grande to deter illegal immigration. This comes from the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, ruled by the Biden administration failed to provide evidence that the barrier needed to be removed, vacating a lower court's order. The Justice Department had filed a lawsuit against Texas. But why would you, again, we always say this, why would you? How can you sit there and come out and say that you're trying to stop the flow of legal immigrants, all the while you are filing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit against Arizona, Texas, and Florida? I mean, it's not even just them. Once they started busing migrants into the other states, and then they went to blue areas, but then they started unraveling into Republican areas, they started filing lawsuits in the Republican areas. But don't worry, you guys. They want to solve this whole thing. They want to figure it out. No, they don't. No, they don't. If they want to figure it out, they could have done it yesterday. They could have done it yesterday. I see y'all in the live chat. Look at everyone saying they're coming over to Rumble. I love seeing that. I love seeing that. Let's can we give a shout out to Dylan in the chat? Dylan is our content coordinator. I love the man. Dylan's helping us out. Dylan's over at Rumble. Rumble's doing some big things, and that's why we're getting in now, folks. They're taking care of us over here at Rumble. Absolutely appreciate all the help and guidance they're giving us. They're quick on it. They take care of us over there. Couldn't be more than happy to be over at Rumble. So we have some The View news. And do I have a clip for y'all in a little bit? Oh boy, do I, because it shows the hypocrisy. That's one of the real things with this channel that we do, right? Of course, we bring you the news and we go over a lot of different variables in terms of the news, right? We go over a lot of news stories. That way, if you wanted to go seek it out, you can. If you wanted to go look up more about it, you can. But at least you have everything that's pretty much going on in the headlines. That's big news. But one of the main things we like to do here is call out the hypocrisy of the left, as well as the media, because I don't think it's right that they sit there and try to manipulate you, and they knowingly do it. They know what they're doing. They know that they're sitting there as shills for the Democrat Party, eating the gunk between Kamala Harris's toes, those nasty-ass toes, and sitting there and just being a fangirl for the Democrat Party. And that's what The View is doing here. And The View says, you can't come back. Why the hell would Donald Trump want to go back to the National Association of Black Journalists after the way they treated him? Like, would you go back to somebody's house that completely was disrespectful to you and treat, even though they invited you, even though you showed up and gave them a platform, even though you spotlighted their entire association, I would never go back to them. I'd say, screw that. You treated me disrespectfully. So on The View, you had Sunny Hostin claims the KKK is after her and trying to round her up. It's just unbelievable.
And I think when I'm a biracial person, right? I have a black father and a white mother. And the KKK is going to find me and round me up with every other black person. And so I think this is my lived experience and it's her lived experience. And I think to question.
It's my truth. It's my lived experience. Do you know how insane it is to say that the KKK is going to come and round up you and black people when the KKK is the Democrat Party? Do you know how insane that is? Mind you, I'm not a fan of the KKK. I like to be clear here. I don't like racism. I don't think the color of your skin has to do with jack squat. Like whatsoever. Your character, Matt. Why is it that we have to consistently say things like this that are the obvious, that come from Dr. King, and are just obvious in society nowadays, like whole cloth? KKK is not a massive problem here in the United States. I'll go as far to say racism isn't even a massive problem here in the United States. Is it a problem in small pockets? Absolutely. Racism is not gone, but it is not a major factor in the United States. In other countries it is. Oh, bigly. Other countries just go and walk on their soil for a little bit. But not here. She's going to say the KKK is going to round you up. It's a wild statement.
Someone's racial identity.
Especially him.
Especially him.
Democrats believe it. Robin Wave, thank you. Robin Ware, rather. Thank you so much for joining us. They just followed us here on Rumble. Thank you, Robin. I see you in the live chat. Couldn't be more than happy to have you with us. True American Patriot. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Troy with $5. Troy, holy lordy, thank you, sir. It says, whole administration is trash. I love that hashtag. Absolutely correct. Keep exposing these lunatics. Thank you, Troy. I greatly appreciate that, man. You're keeping the lights on here for us. Really. And then we got Snarf joining the Bald Brad Army. What are you guys doing today? This Friday, you guys are coming out guns blazing here. Joining the Bald Brad Army. Thank you so much, Snarf. Greatly appreciate it. And by the way, that badge looks phenomenal next to Troy and Snarf. I see you guys. Again, if you haven't joined us, you get a badge. And what's nice about that is I get to see your comments. There's a whole section for me to look at your guys' comments, and I get to read them. So couldn't be more than happy to have you guys with us. Thank you. That's really nice of you guys, especially with Bidenomics. And I have a story at the end of the show about the economy. So it means that much more to me, you guys, truly. Please don't feel like I don't take it for granted. You guys know I do, and I really respect that. Thank you so much. So she's going to attribute the KKK to Donald Trump going out and doing all these things. Now, it's not really a shock because if you remember, Joe Scarborough on Morning Joe came out and said about, wow, I keep saying like a couple weeks ago, time flies by, maybe a couple months ago, he said this. He goes, Donald Trump is going to start executing people in the streets and rounding people up. These people are insane. And the more insane thing is the Democrats listen to the show and fully believe it. Yeah, Donald Trump's a Klansman. He's going to start rounding people up. He's going to start taking over and going after Sunny Hostin. I saw it on The View. Yeah. And then they're going to go to all their tea parties, right, with their other liberal women. Yeah. Did you see what Sunny Hostin said on The View? You wouldn't believe it. Yeah. No, yeah, Donald Trump's the KKK Klan member. Yeah, no, he's going to sit there and he's going to round people up. Yeah, Jenny, I know. Did you see him at the NABJ? Oh my, it's so crazy. He's going to round people. He's going to execute them. Joe said so. No, not Biden. No. Scarborough, honey. Scarborough. He's going to take them out. It's incredible. Yeah, he's a full-fledged racist. You wouldn't believe it. He hates black people. Oh, we're not done with The View yet. I'm sorry to put you guys through that. We have fun here. It's all about a community. You know, you got to have a little bit of entertainment. So Joy Behar says Trump's entire base is racist. Oh, the name calling just keeps coming. So, God, I mean, can we start a list in the chat, guys, over at Rumble and YouTube? So we have here, we're racists. Okay, so we got to throw that in there. So let's throw racist if we can do this together. We're xenophobic. And if I'm missing anything, let me know. Racist, xenophobic. We're bigots. We're sexist. We're misogynistic. We're deplorables. I mean, heck, we got a subscriber in here called Deplorable Me that follows us. What the hell else are we? We're extremists. We're Klan members. We're threats to democracy. We're existential threats. We're threats to the republic. We're threats to democracy, if I didn't already use that one. We're threats to the Constitution. What else do we got here? I know I'm missing some, but load up the chat and let me know what I'm missing there. But we got a lot of it. We got a lot of it. So here's Joy saying that you're all racist. Is it? So Miriam, just to let you know, I think Miriam is a black woman, which again, race doesn't matter. We always love having Miriam here. She's been a long time follower of the Ball Brad Show. Miriam, you're now a racist too because you hang out with the Republicans and conservatives, which I don't know how that works at all, but you're a racist too. I'm sorry. We're all racists suddenly. I don't know how that works. I'm laughing, folks. It's not even a core ideology or a core anything in conservative Republican spheres or ideology. You won't find a book that talks about how racism was adopted by the Republican Party or conservatives. You will only see that in Democratic Party ideology and history. Where this came from, Democrats completely made it up. Republicans fought against racism and slavery. It boggles the mind. Here she is.
This did not win any votes.
Exactly.
It did not expand anyone. It probably lost people.
My point is that he was really working for his base right now. That was to signal his base.
No, he brags about black.
Wait, go ahead, let her go. Say it. I believe that that's what his motive was. It was like an opportunity to say to all the racists out there, see what I'm saying here? You see what I did there? I think that's what his motive was. But and also he's too stupid to realize what he's even doing.
Well,
but then he gets so threatened by a black woman asking him questions that he is petrified of Kamala in the debates.
Some of you are right, Brad, make it stop. I always share this story because it's one of the funniest things I've done here on the show and covered. The incident isn't funny, but what Joy Behar said about the incident was funny. There was this attack by Kamala Bryant. This girl had a knife, and she was going after another girl, and she was in the act, it's on body cam footage, in the act of stabbing the other girl in the neck. So in the footage, the knife is probably like this far from hitting the girl in the neck, and the cop shoots Kamala Bryant, the girl that's about to stab the other girl, basically saving somebody's life. And Joy Behar was like, it was a white cop. How could you do that? He should have at least put a warning shot in the air or shot him in the kneecaps or shot him in the buttocks. That's what she said. And I was crying, laughing so hard because it was an unbelievable statement and just shows how stupid these people are. They've never shot a gun. They've watched so much Hollywood. A lot of us have probably shot firearms. I've shot firearms. I've done firearm training. It's not exactly easy on a moving target to just specifically aim for the buttocks or the knee and be able to hit a target that's moving that big. It's not exactly easy with the adrenaline going, all that stuff, and saving some people's lives. Thank you so much, Alan, with the $5. Brad, stop being such a racist, sexist, homophobic, white supremacist already. Thank you for that. See, look, they call us names. Look, Alan, I get that you're being sarcastic, of course, but the left calls us names, right? And we just laugh it off because it's not true. It can only bother you if there's a shred of truth to it. But it's funny because we know we're not racist or sexist, homophobic, white supremacist, and all those things, right? Some of you say Islamophobic. Like, we had a list going on here. Like, we know we're not those things. That's why it's laughable. And that's why I find it funny when they try to label us those things, because it's like, you're looking around going, no. Whereas it only gets offensive if there's a shred of truth to it. But for us here as a community, there's no shred of truth to that. We don't like that. And by the way, we said if anybody is those things in here, don't follow us. We're not that type of community. We don't believe in that ideology. We don't like racism, sexism, homophobic, white supremacists, all that stuff. That's the Democrat Party, man. That's Democrat. That ain't us here. Nuh-uh. Nuh-uh. So Joy Behar calls y'all racist, which is typical. Now, she sits there, meaning Sunny Hostin, and comes out and says white-led businesses trying to help black communities, they're not hiring black people. Try to follow her here, because it was really hard for me to understand this morning.
He worked with Tim Scott, you know, the only black Republican senator, on opportunity zones. And if anybody knows anything about opportunity zones, what happens is that white-led huge corporations build things in black communities, and black people usually don't even get jobs in those jobs. So opportunity zones don't help black communities. So he was trying, I think, to woo someone, and maybe the only person he wooed was maybe Harris Faulkner. You know, I don't know.
So let me get this. White corporations want to go into black communities to invest into them, but they're not going to hire black people that's in a black community. Where's all the evidence for this? It doesn't even make sense. Because if it's a black community, would mean that it's predominantly black, right? Meaning you'd get predominantly what type of applicants coming in? Black applicants. Probably not too many white ones, right? Or Indian or Asian or whatever. So it's just the math ain't mathing, and it doesn't make sense. It really doesn't. She just pulls shit out of her ass. Oh no, like literally she does. She pulls just caca, just disgusting stuff, and just comes out of her mouth. So Whoopi declares that Republicans are not welcome in the black community. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Can you just imagine if a white person said this about black people? Not that you should, but it's just crazy.
Listen, he did exactly what often Republicans bitch about. You don't invite me, you don't want to listen. Well, we invited you, and we heard you.
And you blew it.
And you can't come back. We'll be right back.
Why would you want to go back, to be honest, the way they treated them? Not to mention they couldn't even get their audio equipment done right. So this is, after everything you just heard, right? You heard the idea that Jean-Pierre said that you can't sit there and say that she isn't black or she isn't Indian and all these things and go after identity politics. Oh, I've been waiting for this one. Here's Sunny Houston contradicting, and this is what we do here, the hypocrisy. Let's roll it, baby.
Nikki Haley's gone by Nikki since she was a child. It's documented in high school. I wouldn't be shocked that as an Indian woman growing up in South Carolina at that time, she actually did to avoid prejudice. So I just want to be careful about critiquing her for going by the name she's always
There's some
gone
of
by.
us that can be chameleons and decide not to embrace our ethnicity so that we can pass.
Sunny, I don't think that's fair.
Yeah. Necessarily, I think if she leaned into...
A ton of people don't go by their color.
Wait, serious. I think to question someone's racial identity,
Especially
him, the bar has fallen so low.
Yeah. Nikki Haley's gone by...
The bar has fallen so low. Really? Oh, it's like, again, come on. And you could show your Democrat friends that watch The View this. What's the problem? I don't see any hypocrisy in that. There's no connection. That's just it. That's all. That's what they do, you guys. They are a propaganda machine for the Democrat Party. That's all they are. They're not anything more. They're not anything less. They're there to sit there and basically brainwash a bunch of people that watch that show. And it's not just them that brainwash people. It's also CNN. And you got Senator Cotton here defending Trump and basically calling out her and what is it, Collins? This is the girl that I said was a B in conjunction with that last girl from ABC News. I don't like this lady. Well, he's not a lady. You get it. All right.
Her changing her views on her policy justify having the Republican nominee questioning her race? Does that increase or decrease your party's chances of winning in November?
Well, Caitlin, you haven't had that conversation with Kamala Harris because she's been hiding out.
I want to have this conversation with you,
just
Senator.
like Joe Biden hid out before her.
Yeah, you only want to have it with Republicans, right? I mean, it's a constant theme, right? They only want to have this conversation with one side. It's never the other side. And by the way, Caitlin, you can't have a conversation with Kamala Harris because she hasn't done a fucking interview in 2 weeks since she was becoming the Democrat nominee. It's a remarkable thing. Don't worry, we'll get to that a little bit later. She hasn't done a single interview yet.
My point is, when are you and the rest of the media going to demand that Kamala Harris come out and answer questions in an unscripted format about where she stands for this country, as opposed to continuing to focus on what Donald Trump said today? 4 years ago, Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for him, you ain't black. Could you imagine a more insulting comment? Joe Biden is presuming to judge the political views of 1/8 of our fellow citizens based on their skin color. Did you ever ask?
Right now, the producer's in her earpiece. Cut him off! Holy shit! Oh, God, cut him off! We can't do this! They're turning our viewers red. He's red pilling us. He's challenging the narrative, Caitlin. Get him off!
Ask Kamala Harris to condemn his remarks?
There are
Did you ever
33.
ask him or ask her if that was
Senator,
racist?
this is a question. You're a Republican senator, so I want to ask you about the Republican nominee.
Did you ask Kamala Harris? Caitlin, did you ask Kamala Harris why she's willing to serve as vice president for a man she essentially called racist and a segregationist? Have you or anyone else in the media asked Kamala Harris those questions, Caitlin?
Senator, trust me, I covered the Biden-Harris White House. We obviously have asked for her to come on, but my that is her.
We've asked her to come on. Well, where she's at? Where is she at? By the way, you could have, with all those journalists in the White House press briefing, very easy to ask those types of questions, the hardball questions, but we don't get those. And how do we know? That was how our show pretty much got founded by a lot of people, was watching the White House press briefings and doing clips of the shenanigans from the White House. But they don't want to ask these types of questions. No, to Kamala. No, and they're not going to, you guys. For the next 100 days, they're not going to. And just a case in point, this is what the Harris campaign looks like. You see her getting out of the vehicle here, okay? Now, I'm not going to show her speech because it isn't long enough, but she's getting out, right? Let's see if she takes any questions. Here she comes. Confused. Looks like she's drunk a little bit.
Sorry to keep you guys out in the heat. Okay.
All right. So she comes up to the podium, right? Little wobbly, kind of like groggy. Don't know what the hell's going on there. Now, she takes a page out of Joe Biden's book here, and she's actually going to answer questions.
Thank you all.
I just blew out your eardrums. I'm sorry.
My President, will you be meeting Evan and Paul when they return?
Wait, she didn't answer anybody's questions. No, she didn't. No, sir. She just sat there and pulled a Joe Biden / Karine Jean-Pierre and just the quick turn. I'm just going to mute it because it's too loud. It's annoying. Why the hell would you do that in front of a freaking jet? What an idiot. And just walks off. See ya. Adios. Sayonara. What a cheap ass salute. It looked like she was fixing her hair. What the hell was that? Okay. Why would you do an interview, you guys, when you have the entire media just doing propaganda for you? There's no reason for it. You just continually go up in the polls. You guys, there's a reason why they don't want her doing interviews. I will show you a case in point here. What does she look like when she's off script? What does Kamala look like and sound like when there is no teleprompter? Well, don't worry. I got an answer to that. I'm going to take care of you, Patriots. Here we go. This is Kamala Harris off the cuff. And this is what she sounds like. May God have mercy on our country if she's elected. Oh, my God.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having...
Sorry, I blew out your guys' eardrums again. I can't control the audio levels for them.
This is just an extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day. This is just...
Oh, boy. Hey, guys, can we do a comparison really quick? This wasn't part of the show. Can we do a comparison just really quick? I'm going to play it. It's 20 seconds. We're going to play it again. I want to show you something.
Extraordinary testament to the importance of having a president who understands the power of diplomacy and understands the strength that rests in understanding the significance of diplomacy and strengthening alliances. This is an incredible day.
Okay, so you have that there, right? Can we just go back for a second and compare the two? Here is a JD Vance that we saw earlier.
Idiotic as these policies were, they started their administration. Kamala Harris came into office making promises, and she kept those promises to open the American southern border. They stopped deportations on day one. They stopped construction of the border wall on day one. We see the border wall sitting here, ready to be completed behind us, and that can't happen because of Kamala Harris's administration. They reinstated catch and release, and they stopped remain in Mexico. So all of these asylum claimants who come to our border, they can now get released into our country because they're not forced to stay in Mexico while we adjudicate their asylum claims.
I mean, he just keeps going, right? I mean, there's a big difference between JD Vance and the Trump administration, the Trump campaign, rather, versus the Biden-Harris. I mean, it's black and white. No pun intended, but it's black and white. You know what I mean? Oh, and she's the best that they have. Oh, my lordy. We got Key Kubad. Thank you so much for the following us over at Rumble. I want to make sure I shout out people for following over at Rumble. Thank you so much. If you subscribe over at YouTube, it doesn't notify me. Yeah, if you subscribe over at YouTube, it doesn't tell me if you subscribed. But I got it on my watch here, and it tells me when one of you guys subscribe. Or when you guys follow me over at Rumble. Isn't that nice? So I could shout you out. Rumble just doing everything right, man. I'm telling you, doing everything right. You want to know who's not doing everything right is the news media. They suck. And so here's CNN, and you have this individual saying, we will win the state of Minnesota if they don't cheat. That's Trump in Minnesota. Correct. Because illegals are voting.
I think seeing a plan that's out there, talking about it with folks, knowing that he's not going to do anything. He talks about this wall. I always say, let me know how high it is. If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in the 30-foot ladder factory. That's not how you stop this. And I think seeing...
you know, when he thought of that, he probably thought it was like the most like intellectual comeback ever. He's like, oh, this is going to kill. This is going to slam. No, a 30-foot ladder, you idiot. Like, why are you even trying to attribute the two to that? Walls do work. That's why you had a wall. Hell, when some sort of foreign ally comes to this country, you put walls around the Capitol. When you had Netanyahu here just the other week addressing Congress. We got Pete Buttbag following us over at Rumble. Thanks, man. There you go. Yeah, I see Pete Buttbag there. YouTube is unsubscribing Baldy. Exactly. They are big time. Now, don't unsubscribe from us over there. Stay subscribed because it looks good. Okay? So if you're over at YouTube, stay subscribed. Just watch over at Rumble. Because we want the numbers to look good, guys. I'm not unsubscribing. I don't even think I have the authority to do that. But yeah, they don't like the border wall, which is funny because it's the border or walls that protect them everywhere they go. It's just, again, Democrats, that doesn't work out whatsoever. Now, we're being told that illegal aliens are not voting. We heard that. I mean, we actually just heard it most recently, just 2 days ago, when Trump was at the NABJ, and he talked about the fact that illegals are voting. And then you had that psycho reporter from ABC News in the blue dress going, sir, that's not happening. That's not real. You're making that up. No, it's happening. And not only have we shown the receipts in the past, I mean, we've been doing this for 3 years. We've shown a lot of freaking receipts. But you also have the fact here of Ohio Secretary of State orders removal of nearly 500 non-citizens from voter rolls. Oh, how does that happen? How does that happen if it's not happening? Can somebody explain that to me? We got a lot of intelligent patriots in here. How does that happen if it's not happening? Let me know, because it doesn't make sense to me. Kara, thank you so much for becoming an American Patriot. Heck yeah, glad to have you with us. Couldn't be more than happy to have you join our community here, Patriots. We all know each other, hang out with us every single morning. Thank you, Kara, for becoming a member over at the Bald Brad Show. We also have Mickey Flim Mickey Fly M. I don't know. It's Mickey something. Hey, Mickey, you so fine. You so fine. Thank you so much for joining us. Greatly appreciated. If you're a dude, and like I said, Mickey so fine, you get it. You know what we're doing here. Anyways. So somehow, just somehow, when something's not happening, Ohio Republican Secretary of State, doing his job, ordered county election boards to remove 499 non-citizens from their voter rolls on Thursday as he audits the state's voter registration database. But it's not happening. These are deep fakes, you guys. What you see on your screen is actually not even real. All this is a facade. It's fake. It's cheap fakes, according to Karine Jean-Pierre. So they're cleaning up their rolls. The problem is, you guys, Democrats are not cleaning up theirs. Remember, there's lawsuits happening in Nevada right now by the GOP because Nevada will not clean up their voter registration rolls. Michigan is not willing to clean up their voter registration rolls. There's another lawsuit there. Pennsylvania has a lawsuit for not willing to clean up their voter registration rolls because there's illegal immigrants. There's dead people that are voting as well. None of that is my words. That all comes from the transcripts of the lawsuits themselves. And we know in the 2020 election, the state of Nevada didn't clean up their voter registration rolls and had people voting from properties that physically did not exist. We got a lot of new members here, a lot of new subscribers, so I want to be clear on this. When I say the property doesn't exist, somebody voted from a alleged property that when you went to go visit said property, you are looking at a desert. And I mean literal, right, Nevada. I'm talking there ain't nothing. There ain't shit in sight. It ain't there. It ain't there one bit. So they're voting from those. They're also voting from properties that they don't actually live at, which is astonishing. And how do we know all this? Because people went out and tested it. You can do it yourself, actually. If you wanted to go run an audit yourself, you can actually get access to the voter registration rolls and go to these properties and just see if the people live there. You just knock on the door. Hey, are you Miss Smith? No, I ain't Miss Smith. How long have you lived here? 30 years? Weird, because somebody voted from this property that voted for Trump. I'm a Trump supporter, though. How did somebody do that or whatever? So that happened. It's going to happen again. So whatever they did in 2020 is going to happen here in 2024 once again. But at least some people are cleaning up their voter registration rolls. Now, let's get into a little bit of the economy. As I mentioned, when you guys give your hard-earned money to the show, it touches my heart because you guys work hard for that money. It doesn't matter if it's 99 cents or $4.99 or $9.99 or $50 or $100, whatever you guys donate. All of that is all the same because everybody's living situation is different. And so it means a lot, especially with Bidenomics and how tough things are. So I want to make sure I spotlight that because it doesn't go unnoticed and it doesn't go unrecognized. You guys keep the lights on here and it's greatly appreciated. And I will never stop saying that. I will never stop saying that because I feel like a lot of these streamers, people don't even read your guys' live chat. They don't even call out followers, you guys. We have a community here. We know all each other's names. That's why we're going to keep this going, right? We got Jason. I know everybody's names. Jennifer's here. We got Pat. By the way, you guys, when I'm reading these names, it doesn't say Pat on Rumble. It says Norcali Toker. I know that's Pat. Tarbox. It doesn't say Jason. I know his first name because he's always in here. Like what was it? GQQ. That's Sunset. Like I know your guys' names because I see you in here all the time. I don't see anybody else doing that. That's what makes this channel different. So if you're just following us now, that's what makes this channel different. We actually know each other in here. Like we know Brian. We even call out birthdays. Autumn's birthday was the other day. And so was Sunset. We know each other's. Yeah, we know all this. Brian, if Brad was more happy, he'd be on the left. That's So let's get into this. So we got some economy news here. 4.3% unemployment in July, a big jump from the 3.5 in July of 2023. So the reason why this is important is because based on what we're seeing, and I'll break this down a little bit further, there is a possibility that this metric is utilized to show that we're heading into a recession, possibly. And this is not a good thing for the Biden administration, especially Harris, because we went into a recession, we climbed out of it slightly, and we've been teetering on it back and forth. Well, now this is not looking good. And we're using that in conjunction with a few other things. But here's a report from the jobs, specifically the jobs report from Fox Business, talking about this whole thing. I'll make sure I don't blow your guys' eardrums out here. Let's turn it down just a bit. Here we go.
We came in much weaker than expected on non-farm. We came in at 114,000 jobs on non-farm. The estimate was 175,000 jobs on non-farm. The employment rate unexpectedly went up. We went up to 4.3%. We were looking for a rate of 4.1%. Government jobs, 17,000 on the government job story, and that is actually a lot less than what we got last month. Remember, last month on government jobs, we had 70,000. Now we've only got 17,000. All right, private sector jobs, 97,000. Again, that is much weaker than expected. We were looking for 148,000 private sector jobs. Factory jobs, only 1,000. Got it. We came in much weaker than expected.
Yo, 1,000? Folks, we're talking about the entire country here. So it's not done yet. We're running a $2 trillion deficit, okay? And you have to downsize the government. The government's bloated. It's way too big. It's massive. And that's something Vivek talked about a lot that I can get behind. I understand people, it's terrible. People are going to lose their jobs. But is it the jobs of sacrificing the country in the long run? Yeah, that's a sacrifice that needs to be had. It's just, it's too big. So only 6% of federal employees are showing up. I'm going to read this carefully. 6% only of federal employees are showing up on the job 40 hours a week. So you've got people, I want to be clear on this, making $150,000 plus per year, working only 25 hours a week. They're gaining the system. They're gaming the system. And you can't keep going down this route. It's throwing money around. The government sucks at running things, and you're going to pay people $150,000. I know people that do tour guides for facilities in the government. I mean that in serious. Tour guides. Showing people around a facility and getting paid $100,000 to do that. And they only work 20, 25 hours a week.
Statistics. Biden's jobs are government jobs, and you've got healthcare is the leading job creator, followed by government jobs. Is this what we see in this report again?
Well, government, I think the number was smaller for government growth, but government should not be hiring more people. The government should be laying off hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people. My God, we're running a $2 trillion deficit. We have to downsize government, Maria. We have to, I'm in Washington, D.C. I think I mentioned this on your show a couple weeks ago, that only 6% of federal employees are showing up on the job 40 hours a week. 6%. So you got people making $150,000 a year working 25 hours a week, and that cannot.
Wow. Black me. I met Magolu. I don't know. I'm butchering your name, man. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for following us over at Rumble. Greatly appreciated. Tarbox. That almost escaped me, my friend. Tarbox says, FYT, Brad and the Patriots are in one place. Yeah, I love it, man. It's crazy how many people we get watching over at Rumble, isn't it, compared to YouTube? I'll never stop saying that. It's really amazing thing. Thank you so much, man. You're always supporting the show. Greatly appreciated, sir. Everybody supports the show, quite frankly. Just watching, hanging out every single morning is freaking awesome. So the jobs report is not looking good. And this is kind of a screenshot here of a TikTok video. And I'm going to go kind of a little bit too far into this and probably what's needed. But there's the McDonald's earnings paint a scary economic picture. So if you take the jobs report, if you take what inflation kind of looks like, there's a thing that we used to talk about in business. You would learn this in business school. If Jeff is here, Jeff's an accountant. He would know what I'm talking about. If anybody runs a business or is economy major. There's a thing we used to call back in the day was called the Big Mac Index. I'm not sure if they still use it, but the Big Mac Index was utilized as a world performance metric to see how the economy's doing. Well, the earnings for McDonald's, as you can see on your screen, has gone down pretty substantially. Jesse Cakes loves to read. Thank you so much. Matter of fact, I love to read. Might as well plug it. I'm going to use this opportunity. We'll come back to this. This is important. Jesse, if you love to read, we got a book called Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. Folks, the paperback is sold out on Amazon. Yo, yeah. Us, a small community here. The book is sold out on Amazon. You can get the hardcover or Kindle. I think you can still purchase it. It'll still come. But there's no copies. You guys sold them out. That's crazy. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. And thank you for leaving that 5-star review. It helps out a lot, guys. I was talking to my wife about it last night. Like, we were ranked like in the top 300 of books. You guys are big, man. You guys are doing big things for us here. Thank you so much. T-Jane. Thank you for joining the Bald Brad Army. Heck yeah, look at that. We got another Patriot joining the Bald Brad Army. Thank you so much. Look at your hard-earned money every single month coming to us, and it's not going to be wasted. It goes directly back into the show for advertising to make things bigger and better here. Thank you so much. We're grassroots. There's no corporation behind us, just grassroots patriots. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. I'm glad to have you with us. Stay tuned, folks. We do have an announcement at the end of today's episode. So this just gives you a metric of how the economy is doing. So if you take everything in conjunction here, things are not looking good. People are not going out and buying McDonald's. People can't afford it. They're trying to do this $5, $5.99 meal plan along with Wendy's and Jack in the Box and others to get customers back. It's only for a limited time. The idea is to get customers back in spending so that ultimately they have their buy-in again, and they'll continue to do that. We got Body Canned. I'm butchering your guys' names. You guys are making this. Are you guys doing this on purpose? Making it difficult for me? Thank you so much. Body Kata. I don't know. I apologize. Thank you so much for coming to Bald Brad Show follower. I greatly appreciate that. I apologize for butchering your name. That is not my intent. So anyways, things aren't looking good. Okay. And we're teetering on a recession. People are saying this is going to lead to a recession. That's what I want you to get out of it. And lastly, something I don't normally do that I want to do starting on Fridays is going over things that I like and things I don't like. This actually comes from an idea from Ben Shapiro. And I think it's a way for you to get to know me and me to get to know you guys a little bit. You know what I mean? So one thing I like, if you haven't seen the recent Deadpool movie, it's actually really good. Marvel has been bombing lately, along with Star Wars. We've talked about it here on the show in the past. We haven't done too much on Disney lately. But you guys, this is a very good movie. It's a typical popcorn flick. You go into it knowing what you're going to get out of it, meaning a Deadpool movie, right? There's a lot of reveals, a lot of cameos. Be ready for it's cameo after cameo after cameo. A lot of great jokes, and it's worth your money. Very rarely do I go to the movies nowadays because it's so expensive. I will pick strategic movies to go see, and this was one of them. Me, my wife, and my brother-in-law went to go see it, and I was not disappointed one bit. It was hilarious. Highly recommend it. I'm a big movie buff, and so I wanted to make sure that we give a shout out to the Deadpool, and that's one thing that I like. Another thing I like is I like ice hockey. Thought I'd throw that in there. I played hockey for over 20 years. I still referee to this day. We got Aldo becoming a Rumble follower. Thank you so much. We're growing on Rumble. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers. If we can hit 1,000 followers on Rumble, we can get verified. And I don't know if Dylan's seeing this. Dylan, thank you so much for always supporting us. Dylan is our content coordinator over at Rumble. We always give him shout outs, multiple shout outs, because the guy's amazing at his job. And I would love for the CEO of Rumble to know that. So anyways, wanted to give a few things that I like. Jason, I read the book for 30 minutes a night before bed. Helps me sleep, opens my brain to think about stuff. What book is that? What Jason said. Mine arrives tomorrow. What book you guys buying? What book you guys talking about there? Talking about my book? Talking about another book. Autumn says, how much does Rumble take from donations compared to YouTube? Anyone know? So Rumble does, I think it's 10 or 20%. YouTube takes 30. So, and I think it's like 20%. But if you want, as I've mentioned, baldbrad.com, and I'll kind of spotlight this. Again, on our main website, we do have a website. That donate tab at the top there, that top right, that goes directly to me. And so this was Karen Catmom. I didn't say how much she gave because I didn't know if she wanted me to. She gave a big donation to the show. I use Squarespace. Squarespace only takes 2%. So if you wanted to make sure it has the full effect of going into the show, like the most that can go, this is the best route that we could possibly go, is directly through my website. And so the transaction thing that they charge is 2% or something. So that would be the best benefit. I'm going to switch the online form to be a reoccurring donation feed if you guys want to do that as well. Don't feel like you have to. Please don't feel. I'm not begging for money. It's just there for those that want it. Okay. Oh, you're talking about Trojan Horse. Yeah. If you got the book, let me see if they're still up on Amazon. The hardcover is awesome. Paperback's great. Kindle. I've been thinking about doing a audiobook version of it. I don't know though. Yeah. I mean, if you guys look at this, right there. There's no hardcovers left. So it seems like you could still get it. Or sorry, hardcovers, a paperback. The hardcover, there's 14 left. You guys are killing it. Oh, what's going on there? No namer like me. Wild. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it, though. Jason, if you guys have it coming in or somebody else, leave us a 5-star review. It does help gain us in the ladder. Alabama fan 1986, thank you so much for joining us over at Rumble. Greatly appreciate that. Remember, you guys, starting Monday, our show is going to 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time till I start work again. So I want to make sure I do a show in the morning. Now, if it doesn't work out, no, it's going to work out. I'm going to make sure it works out. But I was thinking at some point doing an evening show, but I don't know if that would work out for everybody. But I don't even know if it will work out for me. But anyways, the show's going to be 6 a.m. Right now it's 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's early. But if you guys aren't able to make it, make sure you guys have the live chat going while you're rewatching it or watching it at a later time, and then engage with the community in the comment section. So please remember, there's a whole comment section. We would love to hear from you. The community loves hearing from each and one of you. So just because you're not there live doesn't mean you shouldn't take part in the community. Go back to the video later in the day and read the thoughts of the community members, because what you guys have to say is important, and sometimes it's hilarious. So make sure you guys check out the comment section too, because some Patriots leave some really great comments in there and have some really great thoughts that they want to share with everybody. And I don't want you guys to miss out on that, because that's what this is all about. Brad panhandling the poor people. That's always my fears. It sounds bad when you do this, right? It sounds bad when you talk about donations or you talk about certain things, because it seems like you're panhandling. And I try my best to make it seem like that's not what's going on here. That it just helps to reach a whole broad audience all at once, rather than responding to a comment here, responding to an email here. It's really a time saver for me. That's why I always say, if you guys don't want to, please don't feel like you have to. It's just there. And I know you guys know that, but head over to baldbrad.com, all that stuff. Brad, just do the Eve show on Rumble. Ooh, that's not a bad idea, Bear. Not a bad idea. I don't know. Would you want to see the same show over again? Because here's the problem with that. I don't want to take the evening show and utilize material that I would use for the next morning show. That's the only problem. You're basically getting the same show again in a way. If you're down for that, I don't mind doing that every now and then. That would be kind of fun. I don't want to waste your guys' time. That's my thing. I like hanging out with you guys, and I can hang out with you guys for hours. I don't want to waste your time. I want to make sure that you're getting content, and that if you have other shows to watch, you can jump into those really quickly and kind of be up to date on what's going on. So thanks for hanging out, folks. That is our Friday show. We'll be back here tomorrow with more content. We might be back later today if there's something fun going on. But thank you so much for always following us. Thank you for taking care of us. And all the new members, all the new followers at Rumble, as well as YouTube. Couldn't be more than happy to have you join us and be part of our community that's growing here. With that being said, folks, have a blessed weekend. Be safe. Don't get arrested. Don't do anything stupid. And we'll be back here tomorrow for another episode of The Bald Brad Show. Take care, Patriots.